The princess who became Pharaoh, Hatshepsut of Egypt. Introduction: a woman against the sands of time. When we think of ancient Egypt, we imagine pyramids, colossal temples, and mighty pharaohs etched in stone. These rulers were almost always men, celebrated as warriors and kings. But history holds a fascinating exception. More than 3,000 years ago, a princess of Egypt did what few thought possible. She rose above every expectation and ruled as pharaoh. Her name was Hatshepsut. For over 20 years, she led Egypt with intelligence and determination, building monuments that still astonish, securing wealth through daring trade expeditions, and overseeing one of the most stable and prosperous periods of her dynasty. And yet, after her death, much of her legacy was deliberately erased. Her name was scratched from monuments, her statues destroyed, and her story hidden for centuries. But the sands of time could not bury her forever. This is the story of Hatshepsut, the princess who became pharaoh. Childhood in the royal court. Hatshepsut was born around 1507 BCE, daughter of Thutmose I, one of Egypt's powerful rulers of the 18th dynasty, and his queen Ahmose. From birth, she lived in a world of privilege and ceremony. She observed her father ruling Egypt, received a strong education, and learned about the administration and traditions of the royal court. Although women in Egypt held more respect than in many other ancient societies, they could inherit property, run businesses, and even influence politics. Ruling as pharaoh was almost unheard of for a woman. Leadership of the kingdom was considered a man's role. Yet Hatshepsut was no ordinary child. From early on, she displayed intelligence, confidence, and ambition, traits that would one day set her apart. From queen to regent, following the custom of Egyptian royalty, Hatshepsut married her half-brother Thutmose II. The marriage was a political necessity, ensuring the royal bloodline remained within the dynasty. Together they ruled for a short time, but Thutmose II's reign was brief and troubled. When Thutmose II died young, the throne passed not to Hatshepsut, but to his son by another wife, Thutmose III. The boy was still a child, too young to rule on his own. Someone needed to govern Egypt until he came of age. That responsibility fell to Hatshepsut, who became his regent, effectively running the kingdom in his place. But within a few years, Hatshepsut made a decision that stunned the court. She declared herself pharaoh of Egypt, taking on full power rather than merely protecting it for her stepson. Breaking barriers. The first woman pharaoh in centuries Egyptian tradition strongly associated kingship with masculinity. To overcome this, Hatshepsut carefully reshaped her image. She adopted the traditional regalia of a pharaoh, the royal headdress, the staff, and even the false beard symbolizing kingship. On monuments, she was often depicted in masculine form, yet inscriptions made clear she was a woman. By doing so, she was sending a bold message. Her ability to rule did not depend on her gender. What mattered was her authority and her leadership. This act of redefining the role of pharaoh was revolutionary. Few women before her had attempted it, and none had done so with the same success. A reign of prosperity and stability, Hatshepsut ruled Egypt for more than 2 decades, and during that time the nation prospered. Her reign was marked by stability, economic growth, and grand achievements. Ambitious building projects. Hatshepsut oversaw one of the most impressive building programs in Egyptian history. She repaired older temples and commissioned new ones across the kingdom. Her crowning achievement was the Temple of Deir el-Bahari, a magnificent structure carved into cliffs near Thebes. Its terraces, statues, and colonnades reflected both grandeur and innovation, and it remains one of the most celebrated architectural wonders of ancient Egypt. Expanding trade. Instead of focusing only on war, Hatshepsut emphasized trade and diplomacy. She organized an expedition to the land of Punt, likely in East Africa, bringing back treasures such as gold, ivory, exotic animals, and incense. These expeditions enriched Egypt and displayed her vision of prosperity through peaceful exchange, a period of peace. Unlike many pharaohs who sought to expand Egypt's empire through conquests, Hatshepsut maintained peace and security. Egypt's borders remained safe, and her people benefited from the stability of her leadership. Her policies brought Egypt wealth, growth, and a flourishing culture. Thutmose III. waiting in the shadows while Hatshepsut ruled. The young Thutmose III grew up in the background. He received military training and eventually commanded campaigns. Far from being powerless, he was prepared for the throne once Hatshepsut's reign ended. When Hatshepsut died around 1458 BCE, Thutmose III became the sole ruler. He went on to be one of Egypt's most successful warrior pharaohs, expanding its empire through military campaigns. Yet, for reasons historians still debate, Thutmose III, or those who came after him, sought to erase Hatshepsut from history. The attempt to erase her decades after her death. Many of Hatshepsut's statues were destroyed, her images chiseled from temple walls, and her name omitted from the official king lists. This was a deliberate effort to remove her memory as if she had never ruled. Most scholars believe this was not out of personal hatred, but politics. By erasing her, the dynasty could present a clear line of male succession, from Thutmose I to Thutmose II to Thutmose III, without the interruption of a woman pharaoh. But history is stubborn. Despite attempts to erase her, her monumental works, especially her grand temple, survived. And with them, her story lived on. Rediscovery by modern archaeology for centuries, Hatshepsut was largely forgotten. Then in the 19th century, archaeologists uncovered the ruins of her temple at Deir el-Bahari, and inscriptions that revealed her remarkable reign. Slowly her achievements came back into the light. In 2007, scientists confirmed her identity through studies of a mummy found in the Valley of the Kings. After thousands of years, the face of Egypt's woman pharaoh was known again. Legacy. A woman who redefined power. Hatshepsut's story is more than the tale of a pharaoh. It is a lesson in perseverance, vision, and leadership. She ruled not as a shadow behind a king, but as pharaoh in her own right. She showed that strength is not tied to gender, but to wisdom and courage. Her monuments still rise proudly against the desert sky. Her trade expeditions show her foresight, and her ability to secure peace highlights her unique approach to rulership. Though her successors tried to erase her, they failed. Her name and story survive, reminding the world of her extraordinary reign. A pharaoh remembered. Hatshepsut's life stands as a reminder that history often hides extraordinary stories. She was a princess who refused to accept limits, a woman who declared herself pharaoh, and a leader who brought her people stability and prosperity. Hatshepsut's life is a reminder that even in the most rigid of societies, courage and vision can break through every barrier. She defied expectations, ruled like a king, and left monuments that continue to awe the world today. Proof that her legacy could never truly be erased. Stories like hers remind us that history is not just about battles and kings, but about voices almost lost to time. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden story of Egypt's woman pharaoh, imagine how many more extraordinary tales lie waiting in the shadows of history. Subscribe now for more forgotten legends, untold mysteries, and epic true stories from the past that still inspire us today. Hit the bell so you never miss a journey into the secrets of history. Together, let's keep these voices alive. Her reign challenges assumptions about the past and shows us that leadership is not bound by convention. Though attempts were made to bury her legacy, the truth rose again, etched in stone, uncovered by archaeologists, and remembered by generations. Against the shifting sands of Egypt, many rulers have been forgotten. But Hatshepsut endures. Her story proves that while human beings may try to erase the past, ultimately, only truth lasts.